There is a clear message that is coming through. This is becoming a pandemic of the unvaccinated. We are seeing outbreaks of cases in parts of the country that have low vaccination coverage because unvaccinated people are at risk, and communities that are fully vaccinated are generally faring well. The good news is that if you're fully vaccinated, you are protected against severe COVID, hospitalization, and death, and are even protected against the known variants, including the Delta variant circulating in this country. If you are not vaccinated, you remain at risk. And our biggest concern is that we are going to continue to see preventable cases, hospitalizations, and sadly deaths among the unvaccinated. Lastly, I want to reiterate the importance of getting fully vaccinated. I want to reiterate that people who got the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are most effective, especially when against the Delta variant, when given as 2 shots in a series. Both vaccines are most effective 2 weeks after the second dose, with each exceeding 90% effectiveness against severe disease, hospitalization, and death in real-world studies. Not completing the series puts those partially vaccinated at risk of illness. We encourage that people get vaccinated on schedule 3 or 4 weeks after your first dose. But if you are beyond that window, I want to reiterate there is no bad time to get your second shot.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.
Elspeth's story begins in 1933. The Nazis had swept to power. Their stormtroopers were now protected by the government, and one of their favorite excesses, the persecution of Germany's Jews, was now government policy. There were arrests, beatings. Stormtroopers urged people not to shop in Jewish stores.
Seems so long ago. I remember the shock. Yes, but this explosion of hatred, it was so overdramatic, I couldn't take it seriously. I remember I was working in the prison services. I was a social worker. I had my hat on. I was on my way out the door, and the director phoned, and he said, "You shouldn't come to work anymore." And I asked, "Why?" And he said, "You wouldn't be safe here anymore." And I remember thinking that was so funny. I mean, of all places, how could I not be safe in a prison?
Was he a Nazi?
I suppose so. I think that deep down many Germans disliked the Jews, but they kept their hatred bottled up, and then in 1933, pop, the lid came off.
I just got a monthly briefing from my COVID team, and here's the latest data that confirms that we're still in a pandemic of the unvaccinated. While we're starting to see initial signs that cases may be declining in a few places, cases are still rising, especially among the unvaccinated. There are still 85 million Americans who are eligible to get vaccinated, who remain unvaccinated, and at real risk. Across the country, virtually all of the COVID-19 hospitalizations and deaths continue to be among the unvaccinated. In Alabama, more than 90% of the current hospitalizations are among the unvaccinated. In Texas, 95% of those in hospitals are unvaccinated. Right now, it's worse in states where overall vaccination rates are low. But let me be clear, even in states where the vaccination rate is high, the unvaccinated in those states are also at risk. And we're seeing cases rise as a result. Quite frankly, it's a tragedy. There are people who are dying and who will die who didn't have to. So please, if you haven't gotten vaccinated, do it now. Do it now. It could save your life, and it could save the lives of those you love. You know, and the good news is that more people are getting vaccinated. Overall, weekly new vaccinations are up more than 80% from where they were a month ago. While it can take up to 6 weeks to get fully protected after your first shot, this increased level of vaccinations is going to provide results in the weeks ahead. Just remember, we have two key ways of protecting ourselves against COVID-19. One, safe, free, and effective vaccines. And two, masks. Vaccines are the best defense, but masks are extremely helpful as well.
4,000 defenseless, innocent, and peaceful citizens of Oceania. This is no longer war. This is cold-blooded murder. Until now, the war has been conducted with honor and bravery, with the ideals of truth and justice, in the best traditions of mankind, until this moment. Brothers and sisters, the endless catalogue of bestial atrocities which will inevitably ensue from this appalling act must, can, and will be terminated. The forces of darkness and the treasonable maggots who collaborate with them must, can, and will be wiped from the face of the earth. We must crush them. We must smash them. We must stamp them out. We, the people of Oceania, and our traditional allies, the people of Eurasia, will not rest until the final victory has been achieved. Death to the eternal enemy of Oceania. Death! Death! Death!
Brothers and sisters, 1 week from now, in this very square, we shall, as a demonstration of our resolve, as a sure sign to those who attempt to threaten our party and our state, we shall execute publicly the same number of East Asian prisoners by hanging, drawing, and quartering.
The real world is much different than you have ever perceived it. There are those who want to take it all away from us, and they want to establish what they call a new world order. A one-world totalitarian socialist government wherein each of us will be controlled on a 24-hour-a-day basis and will, in fact, be chained to a computer in a system of cashless debt which will be more cruel than any prison that has ever been built. You all sit there in your chairs and you watch all of these things being violated. Police breaking down doors without identifying themselves. They rush in, they rip the house apart, they search everything. It's against the Constitution, the basic rights, freedoms guaranteed to us in this country. The reason why you allow it to happen and cheer them on is because they're doing it to minorities, blacks, what some people would call poor white trash, minorities, Haitians, Puerto Ricans, Hispanics. And because you're basically racist at heart, you say, get those suckers, throw them in jail. What you don't understand, though, is when you take away the rights of any single one of us, any one citizen in this entire country, you have taken the rights of all. And by your passive acceptance, after you have been shown what is happening, to establish the law again in the common law, that you no longer have those rights. That is a legal fact, ladies and gentlemen. If you do not stand up and claim your rights the moment you see them violated, it can be construed in law that you no longer are entitled to those rights. Wake up. Please wake up.